Hello everyone. I, Harneet Kaur, Assistant Professor, PG Department of English, Cultural Studies and Foreign Languages, GSS DGS Khalsa College Patiala, will engage on topic Genres of Literature. Literary works are written in forms of poetry, drama, novel, etc. These broader categories into which literary works are divided are called genres. The term genre is a French word which signifies a literary form. Works are generally being defined and differentiated according to setting, subject, style, time, theme, attitude, content, structure, purpose, occasion, etc. A literary genre is an established category of written works which prevents the readers from mistaking it for any other kind. Now let's take development of genre. From the Renaissance through the 18th century, the various genres were widely thought to be fixed artistic types, and these were rigorously distinguished and were governed by certain sets of rules which a writer was expected to follow. But since the middle of 18th century, there has been a development of new literary forms. Since the Romantic period, many new genres have been added to existing ones. In the 20th century, many new kinds of creative works have come up, hence, making it difficult to categorize one work into already existing generic framework. There are four major genres of English literature: poetry, drama, novel, prose. And I will be taking these one by one. Let's first begin with poetry. Poem is broadly defined as a composition in which rhythmical and usually metaphorical language is used to create an aesthetic experience and to make a statement which cannot be fully paraphrased in prose. Poetry is more concise, concentrated, concrete, figurative, and metaphorical in the use of language. Poem has many subcategories. Epic. The epic or a heroic poem is one of the most ancient and dignified of poetic types. It is a long narrative poem on a great and serious subject, related in an elevated style and centered on a heroic or quasi-divine figure on whose actions depends the fate of a tribe, a nation, or a human race. The setting of the poem is very large in scale. In these, great actions are there, and gods and other supernatural beings take extensive part in these actions. Lyric. It is a short poem and non-narrative which presents a single speaker who expresses a state of mind or a process of the thought and feelings. Lyric is uttered in first person. Dramatic monologue. It is a poem consisting of the words of a single character, and his speech reveals his own nature and the dramatic situation. The speaker addresses and interacts with one or more people, but the presence of listener is not shown in the form of his talking ode. It is a lyric poem of some length, serious in subject, and dignified in style. In classical odes, the stanzas were arranged in groups of three, but with the later developments in ode, irregular stanzaic structures were added which altered freely in accordance with shifts in subjects and mood. Sonnet. Sonnet is a lyric poem of 14 lines written in single stanza, usually in iambic pentameter, lines linked by an intricate rhyme scheme. The sonnet developed in Italy in the early 13th century. Elizabethan poets and the Romantic poets also used this form of poetry. Elegy. Elegy is a poem mourning the death of an individual. There are some other forms of poems also, like ballad, folk songs, etc. Ballad is a narrative poem designed to be sung, transmitted orally, and it tells a story. Folk songs are transmitted orally from one generation to the other. Drama. It is another major literary form and is designed for the theatre, where actors take the roles of characters, perform the indicated action, and utter written dialogues. The writer of the drama has to follow certain stage conventions. Dramas have been written in prose and poetry. On the basis of subject matter, there are mainly two types of drama, tragedy and comedy. But these have been many overlappings and intermixing in these two genres of drama. Let's first take tragedy. It is a play with a sad ending, usually at least one death. The action and the thoughts are mainly serious, which turn out disastrously for the chief character, that is, the protagonist. Comedy. In comedy, the subject matter is selected and arranged mainly in order to interest and amuse readers. No great disaster occurs to the characters, and the actions turn out happily for the chief characters in comedy. Comedy has many subtypes like comedy of manners, farce, tragedy comedy. Comedy of errors is a type of comedy where plot consists of series of mistakes of identity or facts which result in amusement for the reader. Farce. It is type of comedy designed to provoke the audience to simple and hearty laugh, and for this purpose it generally employs highly exaggerated and caricatured character types who are put into very improbable situations. Tragicomedy. It is a play where there is mixture of tragic and comic elements. Miracle plays. Miracle plays had as its subject a story from the scriptures or from the life and martyrdom of a saint. Morality plays. They were dramatized allegories of life of man, his temptations and sinning, his quest for salvation and his confrontation with death. Novel. The basic essence of this genre is that it is an extended fictional narrative. Novel has many subcategories. Novella. Novella is shorter in length from novel but lengthy and complex than short story. Picaresque novel. In a picaresque novel, the hero and his companions move from one adventure to another and one set of characters to another so that one episode ends and another begins and the journey is completed by the central character. The epistolary novel. It is novel written in form of series of letters exchanged among the characters. Realistic novel. It aims to show life as it is, and for its subject matter it takes the average, the commonplace in everyday life of the contemporary scene. In the literary manner also, the writer presents the subject matter in such a way as to give reader the illusion of actual experience. lyrical novel. This novel is characterized by a poetic use of language. Gothic novel or Gothic romance. It is a story of terror and suspense, usually set in a gloomy old castle or monastery. The central conflict in this novel is between courageous young man and the forces of evil, which are often aided by supernatural powers. Historical novel. The actions of novel are set upon specific historical period, attempting to depict period of that time. Prose. By prose we mean the form of written language that is not organized according to the formal patterns of poetry. Prose has its minimum requirement, some degree of continuous coherence and logic. Prose has again many subcategories. Essay. Essay is the short composition written in prose to discuss a subject or propose an argument without claiming to be a complete or thorough exposition. The term originally means trying out. Travelogue. It is a writing describing travels. It gives an account of journeys and experience. It is broadly a truthful record of an actual travel and it aims at satisfying human curiosity. Biography. It is an account of the actual lives of individual men. Dryden defined biography as the history of a particular man's lives. Autobiography. It is a kind of biography in which writer tells story of his own life and his developing self. It is distinguished from the memory in which emphasis is on the people he has known and the events he has witnessed. Chronicle. A chronicle is a detailed and continuous record of events in historical order. The knowledge of generic aspect of literary work is very important in understanding a work of art. But this should also be kept in mind that generic parameters do not remain fixed. With the social changes and with the creation of new kinds of literary works, changes and development keep coming literary forms. Hence, the effort should be made to have more research on this topic.